We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
Those were the words Donald Trump spoke to the violent insurrectionists that committed what's often called one of the worst attacks on our democracy since the Civil War. Next week marks the one-year anniversary of that day. Ended with the deaths of 5 people. Congressional Democrats are commemorating the anniversary with a series of events reflecting on what happened that day, while Donald Trump says he will hold a news conference live from Florida. Meanwhile, the Select Committee is prepping for public hearings. But will the committee's work ever lead to Trump or someone from Trump's inner circle actually catching a case? I want to bring in Lucy Caldwell. She's a political strategist and former 2020 campaign manager for Republican Joe Walsh. And, of course, Dr. Johnson is still here with me. Lucy, one, you're the greatest for getting up on New Year's Day to join us here for this panel. So thank you for that, and Happy New Year to you, my friend. Secondly, I want you to take a listen to some of the Republicans on Capitol Hill and their take on what happened that day. And my apologies to our viewers and our panel for having you sit through this, but I think it's really important to hear how they view what happened that day. For my producers, this is element 2.
I knew those are people that love this country, that truly respect law enforcement, would never do anything to break a law.
If you didn't know the TV footage was a video from January the 6th, you would actually think it was a normal tourist visit.
The question of whether or not the FBI animated some of the criminal conduct is one that is far more grave.
They're going to dress up in red, MAGA, Trump paraphernalia to try to blend in and create trouble.
The DOJ is harassing peaceful patriots across the country.
The reason why they've taken these political prisoners is they're trying to make an example.
The people who breached the Capitol on January 6th are being abused.
We have in this city political prisoners held hostage by their own government.
I mean, it's quite baffling to see. So my question to you, Lucy, is holding these hearings publicly, will that really have an impact on particularly folks in the Republican Party who have completely aligned themselves, not just the members, but the voters who have completely attached themselves to Trumpism?
You know, Donald Trump, in announcing that he's going to hold this January 6th press conference at Mar-a-Lago, said something that is actually really true. As he trashed the committee, he said, but the good news is that we have fewer and fewer rhinos like Adam Kinzinger, like Liz Cheney in the party, and we're replacing them with proud patriots. And what he means by that is our best indication of what exactly is happening, which is that you have normal, sane people fleeing the Republican Party, and Republicans are just now drinking the Trump Kool-Aid. And this is made worse for the general population by the fact, and I'm sorry, this is going to be harsh to congressional Democrats, but when the choir around hearings is not matched by congressional action. And as Stephanie said last segment, if it is the, huge threat to democracy, which we know it is, and which the January 6th anniversary indicates, then where is the action on voting rights? Where is modernizing the Electoral Count Act? And so I don't think that this is going to have an impact on Republicans, let alone voters as a whole, if we don't start to see simultaneous congressional action with the hearings as we kind of bring out the record.
Lucy, you are bringing up an excellent point about urgency, about passion, about fear that I have been screaming about all year. I think at this point in Congress, what we have is a situation where you have so many Republicans who were potentially directly or indirectly connected to January 6th. We've heard speculation all throughout the year that there may have been emails from staffers, that there may have been members of Congress who gave people tours one way or another. What does it mean if we get past January 6th and even further if no members of Congress or their staff members are put on a perp walk? Because to me at this point, it seems like a lot of the Democrats are perfectly happy going back to work every day with somebody who might have been a mass shooter 6 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard you say this, Jason. You said Democrats are basically going out on the track in running shoes and Republicans are dealing with motorcycles in this race. And it's not even just they're going on the track without blocks or spikes. You know, that's a little sort of track reference for you. But in general, as long as Democrats are afraid to really meet the moment, and they're doing this in the worst possible way. I would say this is like, an analogy would be something like you go on a diet and you are really suffering and you're eating nothing but like watercress and celery, but then every Friday night you just eat butter out of the fridge, right? It's like, why are you putting yourself through that, right? And that's what Democrats in Congress are doing. They are enduring all of the pain of sticking their necks out for democracy, and they're not getting the corresponding gain. And if, again, I cannot reiterate this as enough, if this is urgent, then we should be seeing the subsequent simultaneous action.
Yeah. First of all, if you saw me eating that butter out of my refrigerator last night, it was just because it was New Year's Eve and it was my last bad action for the year. But more importantly, good. We're in it together. More importantly, I want you to take a listen to this voicemail that was sent to Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, and then I have a question about it. We'll talk about it on the other side.
You goddamn old senile. You're as old and ugly as Biden. You ought to get the off the planet. You foul. They ought to try you for treason. You and every one of your scumbag friends. I hope your family dies in front of you. I pray to God if you got any children, they die in your face.
These are the people who vote for Republican candidates. Do you think in this year, in 2022, that these folks will accept an election outcome again that they don't like? And I just want to footnote that with there was reporting out this week from 3-star generals who are warning against another potential coup that could happen in 2024. What's your take?
Well, I mean, there was also polling out this week that only 1 in 5 Republicans now believe that Joe Biden probably or definitely won the election. And this just goes to show that there has to be more done than simply holding hearings. I love hearings. I support them. I think that they will be super important in the long-term record. I hope that it's taught every year in high school civics courses. But what we also hope will be taught in high school civics courses is how did members of Congress meet the moment to head off these future threats. And the truth is that while Democrats are not doing anything, Republicans are, and I know I'm going to get flack for being that harsh, but Republicans are busy implementing Steve Bannon's precinct strategy, where they are installing friendly people at every single level of government. And so we are just not prepared.
You're absolutely right, Lucy. I mean, we could talk about this the rest of the show. Unfortunately, this is a conversation for more time than we have allotted this morning, but that's okay because you're on the Cross Connection all the time and you'll be back and we'll continue to have these important conversations. So thank you, Lucy. Happy New Year to you. And I'm so excited for this next segment because perhaps some of you need it. We're talking hangover remedies. So those of you who got a little too lit last night, you want to keep it right here.